Hi folks, Mr. Johnson here. Today we are talking about our watercolor mixing challenge. Now this is what we did in class, so if you weren't there or you need to make it up or you would just like to see how we mix these colors again, feel free to follow along. If you're doing this at home, you may need to pause the video in between the different steps so that you have time to do them yourself. I'm going to walk through all of it, but please feel free again to pause the video at each step and do this yourself. So what we're going to do is try mixing and matching colors using watercolor, which is not as easy as it sounds. There are two different ways of mixing watercolors. You can pre-mix them, which I'll be mixing them in the lid of my watercolor. I'll be pre-mixing them ahead of time, or you can layer them on the paper to mix the colors. So we're going to try both. There are three colors we're going to make. First is going to be a blue-green. So here I'm taking my green watercolor, and you want to load up a good amount of it. And I'm putting this just in the lid of the watercolor dish. I'm going to rinse off my brush and get the blue. And then I'm going to mix this and make a nice blue-green color. So you can always add more green or add more blue until you have a color you're happy with. Now I've thoroughly mixed it, and I'm going to paint that onto my paper here. That's a pre-mixed color. So I've made it myself, but I mixed it before using it. So you can see I've made that color right there. Now the challenge is going to be to try and match that color that I just mixed by layering colors on the paper. So here's what I'm going to do. Take my green and just layer some of the green. There's the green. And now I'll be taking the blue and trying to decide how much blue to add. I think it's a little too much, to get the same color. So now I'm just going to wipe the brush back and forth over it and hope that the colors are similar. I think I did a pretty good job with that one. Now, if the colors are not similar, you can always edit them, right? Maybe you say, I have to add more green, I have to add more blue, I have to add more water, there's not enough color, it's too light, it's too dark. That's part of the challenge of this, is being able as the artist to take a look at your work and decide what it needs. So if you look at this and say, oh, this isn't right, that's fine. Right? That's totally fine. But the question is, why isn't it right? What's it missing? Does it need more green or more blue or more water or less water? So now we're going to try the same thing again with another set of colors. We're going to do yellow-orange. So we're going to try and mix a nice golden yellow-orange color. On the screen, it doesn't look as good as it does in person, so I apologize for the camera quality here. And yellow-orange, you want to be careful because the yellow is a very light color in value, so the orange can easily overpower it. So you want to be very mindful of how much you add. So I'm already deciding to add more yellow to my mixture. I thought I overpowered it and made it pretty orange to start with. Again, it all looks pretty yellow on camera, but it is more of a golden color. Think like a nice goldenrod or marigold color. That's what we're going for here. So here's my nice golden yellow-orange. So again, that's the pre-mixed color that I made using just the lid of my watercolor palette. And again, you can mix that anywhere, on a plate, on the corner of the paper if you have to, wherever. So now we're going to try and match that color by layering. So here you want to be really careful as well that you use more yellow than orange. You want to try to think about how much orange will it take to match the original color. Probably not a lot, but that's where the guessing game and the back and forth goes. So I decided there's a little too much. I blotted a little bit off, and I mixed it, and I think I kind of nailed this one. Again, it does look a little different in person than it does on camera. So again, feel free to pause this now and try those. And now I'm doing the last one. I'm going to make a red-violet, mixing red and purple. Now again, the purple is stronger than the red. It's a much darker color, so it does tend to overpower it. So you want to be careful with how much you add. And I keep mixing them until I make a nice color that I like. So now we're going for kind of a magenta tone. It's not a pretty color. So a nice magenta red-violet color. And now the challenge is again to match that color by layering the colors directly on the paper. So I'm going to start with my red. Now this one I did have a little bit more trouble with. And I'm going to now add the purple. And when I did this, I added a little bit too much of the purple. So it did definitely make it too purpley. And I went, oops, and I had to go back. I rinsed off my brush. I took just some more red and added that in, and that was much better. Now I'm a lot happier with my color. So that is our color mixing challenge. You're to mix blue, green, yellow, orange, and red, violet. Mix them ahead of time, either in the lid of your watercolor dish or on a separate plate. And then, once you've painted those, try and match them as accurately as you can by layering the colors on the paper. Mixing and matching colors is an important skill for a painter because often you'll mix a color for the sky, and if you run out of that, you'll have to mix another set of colors to try and match it. So practice this, take a photograph of it, and post it so that I can see what you did. If you have questions, let me know, and good luck.